1 rep max lifts are way safer than 3 to 5 rep maxes. Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. I thought I would chat with you guys and gals a little bit about this today. And again, I know a lot of other coaches who agree with this. The most famous one I can think of who has made the same statement would be Dave Tate. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say that if you are serious about strength training, you probably do agree that Dave Tate's a good source of information, all things considered. He has the experience working with enough champions that he knows what he's talking about, right? He's produced a lot of champions. He's also observed when injuries happen, something he has decades of observing, when they happen, why they happen, when big weights are being moved. And he says pretty similar to this, and I happen to agree with Dave 100% on this. And what we see all the time, when people go for these 3, 4, 5 rep maxes, I mean, we can make the same case for a double to a lesser extent. People will say, yeah, but it's safer than a 1 rep max because it's not your all out heaviest weight. But look at me doing some of these maxes here on these awkward lifts. You'll see a few of them in this video. Notice I strain through them, but they don't get all catawampus. And when you miss a 1 rep max lift, I want people to think about what happens versus when you've done several reps. Because it's that funny thing, they're like, because it's lighter, it's safer. Because no one's ever been injured with a weight that's 10% lighter than their max. You know how asinine of a statement that is? I'm just saying, how many tears did Dorian Yates have with weights he was doing 7, 8, 9 rep sets with? He tore all sorts of stuff. Were those 1 rep maxes? Okay, you see where we're going? But we'll get over to that in a minute. Stop and think about what happens when you do a max. You're ready for that rep. You're tight. And if you're used to maxing out, you know how to max out. So that's kind of the point that guys like Dave make. He's like, we have people max out all the time. We max out every week on all sorts of lifts, random lifts sometimes. Okay. Guys are not getting hurt doing it though. Why? Because they're used to maxing. They're usually resilient. So they're used to maxing. When you see weak links come out in a max, what do? They work on those weak links. If you start fixing all the weak links in your maxes, because you can see the form degrade, what starts happening with them? Well, then your form doesn't break down at all when you miss. Okay? Usually weak links can cause some form to degrade, and that's how you know where the weak links are. You can look at the way the bar moves. If the bar does anything but move in a perfect line, biomechanics stay tight, you know that something's weak. Something is really weak. There's a major weakness. A major weakness in one of your muscles when that happens. So you work on that weakness. You do that on a few different lifts over time, and then you don't have those glaring weaknesses. That stuff goes away. So realistically, when you look at a max lift, it usually moves in a straight line unless you got all psyched up and crazy and did stupid stuff. But if you're just focused, you usually stay tight. And usually, even when you fail a 1 rep max lift, getting tongue-tied there, we tend to be really tight. We stay tight. Everything is usually locked in. And when we miss it, we miss it. And it's very easy to just go straight down. You miss a max squat with 500, 600 pounds. Or if you're weaker, let's say 300 pounds, right? So you're not an advanced lifter. What tends to happen? It tends to go straight down unless you intentionally do something dumb. Usually the bar goes straight down. If you've had any practice at all and you've been instructed, you just go straight down and it hits the safety pins, safety arms, safety chains. And usually if you have spotters, they're grabbing it at that point. Right? Problem solved. You go straight down, but you stay tight. Do you get hurt when the bench press goes straight down to the safety pins, back down to your lower chest and not way up towards your face? No. No, it's usually fine. Okay? Rarely get hurt. Oh, very unlikely, even with 500 pounds. Unless you had some drug-induced problems with tendons and then overuse. But generally, you're good. Same thing with a squat. You just go straight down. With a good morning, go straight down. We go straight down. We just miss the lift. Deadlift, what happens? Usually just drops. Usually drops down in a straight line, or we end up turning loose of it. A lot of times our grip gives out at that point. Unless you're training with straps. And then again, lifting with straps can get you hurt, can't it? We'll get me started on that one. Because your grip doesn't give out when it gets too heavy. Yeah, and then you can really use some catawampus form to try to cheat it up. Yeah, and that might be an injury waiting to happen. But you way exceeded your max. Lifted a weight you couldn't lift without straps. Well, that's no longer your 1 rep max. We're now above a 1 rep max. You know, you just turn loose a lot of times. Weight just drops. Problem solved. No issues. All right. See where we're going with that? What happens when you miss a 3, 4, 5 rep max? What's it look like? Is it smooth? Are you still tight? How often are people able to maintain that same tightness on that 3rd rep, that 4th rep, that 5th rep with a really heavy weight? Okay, see where we're going? You tend to get squirrely with the weight. What happens on the bench? Bar might drift up over towards above your face. What happens when you dump the bar above your face? Even if you have safety pins. Do we pull stuff? Did our shoulders get hurt? Yeah. Yeah. On a squat, what happens? What happens as you do multiple heavy reps? You start leaning forward more on every rep? So what happens when you fail rep 5 on a squat versus rep 1? Rep 1, you go straight down. You fail rep 5, what happens? Do you get pulled forward? Do you get pitched forward? Yeah. So one of them, you go straight down, compressive force on the spine, hit the pins, you're good. Now you good morning the squat on the 5th failed rep. On a 5th rep fail, you good morning that squat. How much more shear stress is put on your lumbar? A lot more. Especially when it misses. You good morning a squat and then fail it. You get pitched forward or the bar dumps above your head, rolls forward. Okay? How much more stress is put on your back? A lot more. More likely to get hurt. See where I'm going with this? Hey, it's a deadlift. Let's say you strap up and you fail rep 5 on a deadlift. Does it just drop straight down? We get into some catawampus positions. This is where the injuries go up. And it's still heavy weight. Let me tell you, if your max on a lift is 500 pounds and you're failing rep 3 or 5, how damn heavy do you think that weight is? It's not 300. It's above 400, guaranteed. If 500 is your max and you're failing rep 3 to 5, you probably have 440, 450 on the bar. Can you get hurt with that? But it's not your max, therefore it's not as risky. Does that 50 pounds really matter at that point? You really think that's the deal breaker? I don't think it is. Says me. All right, guys, well, that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys and gals next time.